Hello, it's Kate again, and today I am doing a little Willow Creek makeover, as I think we all really like to do. Creek is kind of the base game of the base game, Neighborhood Worlds, and it is so traditional, and I felt really inspired. I feel like it should have a rec center. Obviously, we didn't get rec centers until much later with the Growing Together pack, but Willow Creek seems like in a really appropriate place to have a rec center, and I wanted to make it nice and modern. So this is a really cool modern rec center, and I say modern, it's more just contemporary, maybe even a little bit mid-century style, but it's contemporary compared to the rest of Willow Creek. And it'd be great to go through and redo all of these commercial lots that are right there at the water's edge in Willow Creek, because I think this one was the museum. There's also like a nightclub, a lounge, and a gym, I think. All of them could, use an uplift or a facelift or whatever you'd like to call it. This one in particular, I just really felt the urge to have a rec center in Willow Creek. I think I was playing with the game and was like, gosh, it's really silly that I have to go all the way to San Sequoia. I'm not always playing in San Sequoia, and Willow Creek would make a lot of sense. So, I think I looked for a few inspiration picks, but I don't really remember doing that much inspiration pick. I think this was just kind of like out of the brain kind of thinking. And you can see I messed around with the roofs there and felt like it was getting a little too mid-century modern. So I actually went back into flat roofs, which I think is more appropriate for this style of build. It's got a large upstairs and downstairs, large outdoor spaces, whether it be a balcony, a fenced-in pool area. There's a basketball court. And then the inside spaces include a fitness gym, really nice bathrooms, I think. Really nice, like, public bathrooms. As nice as a public bathroom can get, I guess. That also has showers in it. Because assuming people are going to get sweaty and stinky here. And I think I might have put it... Yeah, I think a grill is actually... Is a grill required for the rec center? It's not, but I think I included kind of an outdoor kitchen area, and just kind of want it to be like you can take your kids here and just spend all day here, and everybody's going to have something to do. Nobody's going to be bored. There's the music room, which I think a musical instrument is a requirement for the rec center. There's also a jungle gym is actually a requirement for the rec center, which was kind of surprising to me. I didn't know that. I was thinking I was going to put some swings and monkey bars, but you actually have to have a jungle gym, which in The Sims is like that big pirate ship thing that the kids play on, or the alien, it's not an alien spacecraft, it's just a spacecraft. Anyways, it's got to be one of those large things to count as a jungle gym. And I think I did like a yoga studio, but kind of sculpting the outside was so much fun, as it usually is for me. I really enjoy just seeing what I can come up with. Started out with this all white scheme, was thinking kind of a Mies van der Rohe kind of vibe. But Mies van der Rohe would never be this fussy. So I think in The Sims, as well as in architectural design, it's really important to kind of question the shape that you have constantly, and it needs to be functional and beautiful, and something to make it beautiful. Something that's a popular way to make something beautiful. It used to be popular to make everything symmetrical and rounded and things like that. Now we've gone through a lot of different architectural styles in, the thousands of years that humans have been creating architecture. But I think what's kind of common and accepted now as good design practice is to push and pull the walls, the doors, kind of give hierarchy to things. So like walls need to run into something rather than be in the same plane as something else. having like a big column, even if it's going to be dead space on the inside, that really drives me nuts. I like for every part of the design to be utilized, and that's in The Sims as well as in my practice. And it just irks me to have a it really irks me to have an empty column or just like an empty like triangle somewhere, because I think it made the shape look better. I like for everything to have function and form. The form should be influenced by the function and vice versa. These are like old principles, like Vitruvian principles and Louis Sullivan principles for architecture. So I'm kind of, getting in my academic mind with this. But I do think that there's something to be said about the way that you create something beautiful. And it also has to do with the time that what time period did you do this work in? Because like I said, there was a time where big and symmetrical, really ornate, but also symmetrical, or there's super minimal and asymmetrical. It kind of depends on what's trendy and what's not. And in order to like operate in our world today as a professional designer, I do think that you have to understand what is trendy, but also have that knowledge of the history of design and the history of trends in architecture. And I think when you're informed that way, you can lean into the trend enough so that if somebody wants to come in here 20 years from now and reuse this building for something else, it can still be done without everybody saying like, oh, this building is so, 2024. And because, in 2044, who knows what's going to be the trendy thing to do in architecture. But I think it's important to try to make something have a little bit of longevity. And a lot of times like the finishes in a building really matter when you're thinking about that. For example, I put carpet in the upstairs, and I think I put the like fitness soft mat under the fitness area on the bottom level, and I put carpeting all in the music room. Well, if somebody comes in here and they want to make this a high school in 20 years or something, they might think, we cannot have carpet in here. These kids are going to spill their Coke and they're going to, make a huge mess, or they're going to, we're going to have a painting class in here, not a music class. So we can't have paint splatters all over carpet. We need something that's cleanable. When it comes to designing a building, I think it's really important to, make it a beautiful space, but also make it have longevity in that if I need to go in there and change the finishes, or, maybe we remove a few windows and turn it into a door, or things like that when you're not changing the structure, you can kind of strip the building away to its structure and it's still very usable. That to me is a successful piece of architecture, because we're not going to be tearing down and rebuilding every 40 years, which is what we do a lot in the US with our buildings. Sometimes the material choices you make, you do have to think about them as being more permanent. So for example, a terrazzo floor, which terrazzo has come back into trend in the last, 10 years. But one of the first jobs that I had out of college, and I actually wasn't even working on the project directly. I was working in a small architecture office, and one of the architects in the office was working on it, and they had to talk their client into not tearing out terrazzo, because they were taking an old abandoned high school and turning it into, I think, like a rec center. It was for the Salvation Army, and it was, kind of their, it's like a place for them to serve meals, and a place for them to have camaraderie, have like fellowship activities among people. Really cool project. And the high school had terrazzo flooring in it, which they thought was so ugly. And the architect was like, listen, this product will last longer than either of us will live. And I think if you tear it out, it would be a huge mistake. This is expensive and it is durable, and quite frankly, it is beautiful. I don't think that they told the client that, but they're like, quite frankly, terrazzo is a beautiful material, and we're going to be really mad if you make us tear this out. So they did convince them to keep it, and that's kind of the idea when you see the concrete floors from Desert Luxe throughout this space. I love to use those in my Sims builds ever since Desert Lux came out, because it seems like such an ideal flooring to have for the longevity of a place. So, you know, to think they could come back in here and turn this into in an elementary school in, 30 years, they're probably going to keep that floor and just clean it up a little bit, or they might even restain it if it needs, a little bit of extra help. Like if it's got some stains in it, they can clean it and restain it or whatever. But that is a great material. Or it's also easy to cover up if they just want to cover it up with planks or cover it up with carpeting. That's also a really easy thing to happen. So love the use of that material in this building and in many, many, many of my Sims builds. I'm sorry about my voice. I feel I'm very stuffy. It is April in the South, and I've got horrible allergies. And so I feel like my voice sounds so horrid. And I'm really sorry that you're having to endure it. But I'm not sorry enough to record this at a different time, because I just have to take the time that I'm given to create these videos, because this is a side hobby. I run my own business out of the house. I have young children. I have to do this when I can. And so you're getting my allergy-ridden voice right now. I'm so stuffy. I can't breathe out of my nose. And I probably sound really out of breath because I am. Because I have to take breaths from my mouth while I'm trying to speak words too. Sorry about all that.